and welcome to The Big Picture. In recent years, sexual violence has been a matter of serious debate and controversy everywhere in the world, including India. The rape of a young girl in Delhi in December 2012 had led to an uproar and later changes by bringing in harsher laws and sterner punishment to perpetrators of rape. However, one aspect of this problem, marital rape, remained untouched. The recommendations of the J.S. Verma Committee to criminalize marital rape was not accepted by the government then. In fact, a parliamentary committee also opposed the Verma Commission proposal, saying that entire family system will be brought under great stress if the marital rape is brought under law. Earlier this week, Minister of State for Home, in a written reply in the Rajya Sabha to a member's question, reiterated the position, adding concept of marital rape as understood internationally cannot be suitably applied in the Indian context due to various factors. This reply has revived the debate about whether marital rape should be criminalized and made a punishable offence, or should the status quo continue. We will discuss all this today with Ranjana Kumari, women's rights activist, Maxwell Pereira, former Joint Commissioner, Delhi Police, Priya Hingorani, lawyer in the Supreme Court, and Charu Walikhanna, former member, National Commission for Women. Welcome to all of you. Mr. Pereira, how serious is this problem of marital rape in this country?
Now, first of all,
as policemen, as police officers, do you people encounter this problem frequently?
I want to say, I mean, hardly anyone comes to complain, and I wish they had complained, because one hears about these things, one knows about in societal, interactions, one gets to know, but never has it, really come in the form of reports in this country. First of all, we need to recognize the existence of it. I don't see any difference between a rape, when it is, by some stranger or by someone known. In fact, the Delhi police studies that have been given earlier, the analysis of rape studies that were there, have proved that in almost 85 to 90% of the registered rape cases, the accused is always a known person. So, extending that analogy, you can see how much someone who is known, someone who is proximate, someone who is trusted can rape. How much more that incidence can be. And I would consider the only aspect is that, gender issues will come in. That is the rape only from one side, or could it be also from the other side? These are debatable things, and that should not be gone into. But my point is, a rape is a rape. Whoever it is, by husband or another known person, it is still a rape if the rape is there. So
but it is quite interesting that the minister in his reply states that in the Indian context, due to various factors, including level of education, illiteracy, poverty, myriad social customs and values, religious beliefs, mindset of the society, to treat the marriage as a sacrament. And that's why, the government says that that's why we don't.
As far as I'm concerned, this is atrocious. Why is marriage a sacrament only in India? You mean the marriage is not a sacrament elsewhere? Marriage is a sacrament.
We'll come back. Let me get Ranjana in on this. Ranjana, have there been enough studies in this country about this problem, or is it as Maxwell points out that 85 to 85% of the people who come and report rape and accused happens to be people who are known to the person? Is that on the basis on which this whole debate is happening in this country, or has there been any study which can tell us exactly what is the problem?
I think when the Verma Commission came up with this recommendation, they have quoted a study of 2010 where 18.8% such cases were reported by women, and also UNFPA has come up with a study where they are talking about over 60% women reporting intimate partner or husband raping them. So I think there is this problem, and globally it has been understood and accepted as a fact of life within marital relationship or intimate partner relationship. So, you know, the whole issue that Verma Commission's recommendation pins down to is that in Indian Penal Code, any unwanted, non-consented sexual intercourse is considered as rape or sexual assault now by the new definition. But what they did, what our law does is makes marriage as an exception. So that is something that the Verma Commission in fact recommended, that we should remove this exception. Now why we should remove this exception? Because rape, you know, within marriage is a reality, and if it was not a reality as sacrosanct as Indian marriage may be, it is also marriage anywhere in the world is considered as very sacred, very sacrosanct, and that can be a very different debate, that is it really sacrosanct as far as life of a woman in marriage is concerned. All kinds of marriage, the way it is performed, the kind of promises that they make women to make during the marriage, is it really one-sided affair? Is it only an arrangement where women will get subordinated to a man in marriage, will surrender, will be agreeing to all kinds of coercion, exploitation, brutality, or is it something really based on, you know, kind of equality of happiness, togetherness and interdependence? So that could be a separate debate. But let's come back to this whole marital rape and how and why it should be, you know, kind of looked at in the real situation. Look, women's bodily integrity and autonomy cannot be violated according to even legal foundation of our democratic system, that, you know, everybody is getting that independence and the autonomy, and in name of marriage or intimate relationship, you cannot violate that. You cannot, you know, coerce a woman to get into a sexual relationship or a sexual intercourse without her consent. And also, we have come across a lot of cases, as you know, my institution, Center for Social Research. You know, but just one more thing, Girish ji. I just want to say that in our organization, we get cases on daily basis where women come and talk about the kind of, you know, aggression, exploitation, the kind of, you know, brutalization they go in marriage by their husband, perhaps in normal mindset, in anger or in drunken mindset. So I think there are many situations. So calling it sacrosanct is really trying to kind of, you know, being an ostrich and saying that, you know, we don't want to see the problem. You want to push your head into the sand and say, oh, we are a society where everything is very good and our marriages are such fantastic institution. So why should we kind of, okay, fine, you want to believe it, but don't keep yourself under this kind of a, you know, mind where you are trying to hide the reality, you don't want to look at the reality, and you want to talk out of your head basis. What is his basis? What is the minister's basis of saying all this? Has he got any study conducted that marriage, you know, is going to disturb the marriage, going to disturb the family relations? Does he know that what happens in marriage?
No.
Does he know? Does he have any kind of scientific evidence?
Okay, Ranjana. Okay, Ranjana, I'll come back to you. But, you know, in all fairness, the minister was just doing his job, I think, because, you know, this has been the policy of the governments, successive government. It is not just this government. The previous government also took a similar stand, and he's apparently just continuing the stand which the previous government seems to have taken.
Verma Commission was also appointed by the government.
Absolutely. And Verma Commission's recommendations were not accepted.
Yes.
Yeah, you wanted to come in.
Yeah, I mean, the articulation has been particularly obnoxious, or, you know, I think which has gone down very badly with the entire population, number one. Number two, this is the first time I'm in other words, making violence sacred. This is the first time, you know, something violent
you're interpreting that, but they're saying that marriage is a sacred institution. Priya, Priya, what does the law say? What does the law? Some people say that, why should you bring this additionally into the whole thing? There is Domestic Violence Act is there. This problem is taken care of by the Domestic Violence Act. So why need to bring in this and, complicate the situation? That's what some of the, in fact, the standing committee, one of the parliamentary committee said that, it will complicate the whole matter further.
No, there is no law at present which talks about marital rape. We have a rape law which talks about rape in a general sense. Domestic violence does not cover this issue at all. It talks about violence, physical violence, violence for mental violence, it talks on violence for dowry, those kind of violences. According to me, marital rape is very, very common in India, but it is in different sections of society. I wouldn't say that it is prevalent in all sections with, in
uniformity.
The other thing is, yes, we must bring marital rape under the criminal law. We must bring that, but at the same time with safeguards. Because, yes, there is a lot of violence happening with women across the country, whether it is in marriage, whether it is, whether they are not married. And the time has come, and this society has changed to that extent where women are willing to come out and talk about their problems.
Right.
And it's happening. It's happened on sexual assault, it's happening on eve teasing. Women are coming out and making this thing. The social media has played such an important role in bringing and covering cases that at times where we did not hear of such cases, but every day now the papers and the social media is carrying forward such cases, reporting them. So when it was brought up before the Justice Verma committee, it was a very welcome move by the women activists, women lawyers, by people who were concerned in this area. It's unfortunate that the government has not thought it through. It should think it through. It needs a little bit of debate and discussion. But I am very, very clear on one fact that we must have very strong safeguards for it.
Why are you saying that? You're insisting on safeguards.
Because what is happening is, there is certain amount of element of misuse for every law.
Yes.
Yes, there are unnumbered rape cases taking place in this country and which are not even being reported. Only a few get reported. But there are also cases which are coming forward where it is in a consensual relationship. It is with consent. They're adults. Promise of marriage is not fulfilled or whatever it is. A rape case is made against the person.
False cases are being registered. That's what you're talking about.
The police does not investigate at the first instance.
They're not supposed to.
They're not supposed to. So they arrest, and it's afterward the matter comes up in court after so many years. The court says no, acquitted because this was not the same. So I think that's why we can't stop the misuse of anything. So that's not the reason for not to have the stringent laws, but safeguards that's why, according to me, are very, very important when you bring about such a law.
Okay, that's interesting. We have Charu Walikhanna, former member of the National Commission for Women, on the phone line. Charu, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, and I've been following this discussion.
Okay.
And what the minister said, that marriage is a holy or a sacred union, we cannot doubt that. But the fact is that when there's violence in the union, it becomes anyay. And I think he has no idea. People who make such kind of comments have no idea of reality. Because if you see exception 2 to section 375, which says a wife not being under 15 is not rape. That means if you, physically violate a woman, sexually violate her, and she's between 15 to 18, it's okay. And if you connect the dots, more than 50% of the marriages in India are child marriages. This is their own National Health Family Welfare Survey saying that. And the maximum number of child marriages are taking place between 15 to 18, when a girl has no idea of sex. So she's raped, she's physically violated, and she's thrown aside. They try and demand dowry, and then she ends up being trafficked. That's the harsh reality. I want to just also quote another survey. The United Nations Population Fund survey said that 75% of married women in India have been subjected to marital rape. So, I mean, look at the figures. and then you say that it's not happening, you want to close your eyes. In fact, if you even take the NCRB, the National Crime Records Bureau, they kind of give statistics for suicides, and the special category, suicide by housewife. And in the housewife under 14 and 15 to 29, they have a very high figure of housewives committing suicide. Now, why should a young girl who's being so it's obvious that she's being forced into a marriage, she's being brutally and sexually assaulted, and this is raising her issues, personal issues of her right to bodily integrity and dignity. I think these are very important issues that which need to be discussed and debated, and not just put into the mode of sacrament or religion.
Okay, Mr. Pereira, it is as Priya was pointing out, the fact that I don't think the minister is denying that that such a thing exists or not. From what he has replied in the Rajya Sabha in the floor of the, it was a written reply, there doesn't seem to be any denial of what is happening. The problem as they pose it, I'm sure the Ministry of Home Affairs, that is a thinking of the Ministry of Home Affairs, which the minister was reflecting when he says that. When he says that it cannot be suitably applied in the Indian context due to various factors. I mean, this is something which needs to be discussed, and it is not something which can be dismissed. Would you agree with that? Because the level of education, illiteracy, poverty, social customs.
Social custom is no license to commit crime. A crime is a crime, number one. But when you are talking about difficulties, yes, there would be tremendous lot of difficulties. It is like, bringing the police into your bedroom.
Absolutely.
Okay, we already have police interference into all sorts of walks of life. I mean, from that point of view, I would very much say that, well, there is a ground for not really bringing in something like that, but I definitely object to decriminalizing it, or rather saying that keeping an exception from law taking cognizance of it, the rape law is taking cognizance of it, because a crime is a crime. One should accept that it is a crime. Well, once we have accepted that, then
but what about Priya's point about safeguards? The fear of misuse.
The safeguard.
Fear of misuse.
You have to study the problem. Which are the areas where you need to have safeguards? Which are the areas where you need to go, even with a hammer, if you have to go and prevent these kind of things?
The biggest problem here in India we have is of mindset. It's considered the right of a husband or a relation, in a relation, they may live in relationship.
A woman is a commodity.
Of doing what he wants, not asking whether she consents to it or not. The power. So it's what more than the laws, more than the safeguards, I think somewhere down the line we really need to work mostly on changing the mindset. The society, the customs.
I admire the women kind of this country today, which is finding its feet, which is finding its voice and coming out. And education has done a lot in this line. And if more and more people are educated, the country should be prepared to accept that this is a vital, 50% of our population, which needs justice, which needs a proper hearing, which, if there are problems in really bringing them into the mainstream, and not a life of subjugation only, and to be totally ruled over by the male gender, I think so be it. I mean,
okay. Ranjana, the same question which I'm asking, which I was asking Maxwell also, the question of taking some of the things which the minister talks about. It is not just this minister. Even in the past, the parliamentary committees uses the same language. The previous government was very reluctant to accept the recommendations of J.S. Verma committee, because they are talking about the customs which we have here, the kind of educational level, the poverty, and also the most important issue of misuse. And as Maxwell rightly points out, bringing the police into the bedroom. How do we ensure if this really becomes a, if this is criminalized, if marital rape is criminalized, how do we deal with sensitively so that, people who may be innocent don't get affected by this?
Well, you do not, you have to acknowledge a crime and you do have to legislate to control that crime or to clamp on the crime. It's not, you don't stop from legislating because you cannot control the crime. For that matter, drug peddling, murder, everything, these are all very difficult crime and very difficult to control them, to establish the, system by which you can prove all this crime. So I don't buy that argument that, because the police, I think Verma Commission, if you have read the report carefully, I would want to just read a few lines from that. And it very clearly says that, you have to really, changes in the law therefore needs to be accompanied by widespread measures raising awareness of women's rights to autonomy and physical integrity, regardless of marriage or other intimate relationship. I think this is very important to understand that they have already recommended, and also for example, in South Africa, the example has been given. Then also they have quoted Professor Sandra Friedman of the University of Oxford, who says that training and awareness programs should be provided to ensure that all levels of criminal justice system and ordinary people are aware that marriage should not be regarded as extinguishing the legal or sexual autonomy of the wife. Now look, these are the best legal minds who prepared this whole thing. We all were asked to make presentations. We did our research. We went with very, very well informed, arguments to the commission, and then all these things were formulated. And here is the minister or group of ministers. These are the men who have never experienced, never looked at even second time what really happens when women are really brutalized or the aggression is shown on her body, or when she is criminalized by just in the name of marriage or in the name of husband's right or entitlement over her body. Who has ever given that entitlement? It's just the system of marriage, and system of marriage now is sacrosanct. So you can't even challenge, you can't even change it, you can't. And
Ranjana,
then look at the ignorance. It doesn't happen, you can't change it because it doesn't apply to India.
Ranjana, sorry.
India. What do you mean by that?
Ranjana,
what do you mean by that?
Ranjana, sorry to intervene.
It applies to American women, it applies to South African women, but it doesn't apply to Indian women. What is this?
Ranjana, can I intervene?
Is this?
Can I intervene, please?
Well, you can intervene. You have.
I am asking a question. Let me ask a question before. I am trying to ask you a question. When you are talking of this, do you think that the situation in this country is ripe enough for a law like this, which can be used in the right manner in this country? That is the question. Because why are when they talk about when they're talking about this, the question is this, that whether this law can be used in the right manner. I think I'll come to you, but I think I have Nalin Kohli, the spokesperson of the BJP, on the phone line with us.
Let me answer it.
No, 1 second. I'll come to you. I'll come to you, Ranjana. Wait, I'll come to you. Nalin Kohli is on the phone line. Let me get Nalin Kohli. Nalin, there is a lot of criticism about the way the minister in this government has made that statement about marital rape, it can't be applicable, made a punishable offence in India. How do you react to this? You think that the government has thought through this problem?
No, I think we need to look at it with a little more sense of balance rather than reaction. That rape is a problem, is a reality. There are laws to deal with it. That marital rape could also be a problem that women face in certain marriages, is also a reality. There's no denial. But the question that arises is that in a country where primarily the institution of marriage is treated in a very large cross-section, particularly in rural areas, in smaller towns, as very auspicious, and the question of speaking about what happens between a couple in the bedroom is still not such an open and progressive society as it is in the West, is an issue. How do we counter it? Needs to be taken into consideration. The second aspect is that within this, an argument is there that women who are in a bad marriage for any reason can still exit the marriage, and the current laws favor the lady as they must. So whether it is the dowry law, whether it's domestic violence, whether it's cruelty, so the courts are giving favorable things more in case of ladies. There have also been cases There are few, they may not be the majority, where the misuse of the laws are taking place. And whether it's on rape, whether it's on marriage, they could be on murder anywhere. So the larger question that arises is, in a country where judicial intervention and results may take a long time, there may be false allegations, whether our society is fully ready for it, these all have to be taken into consideration before something is passed or accepted. Just because they are applicable in the West, which is a different society, it does not necessarily mean we need to blindly take those laws right here. So therefore there's a difference. Like even in the case of free speech, we have reasonable restrictions under the Constitution in 1902. But in the West, or in America particularly, it's an absolute right. You could even burn the American flag. That is not permitted in many countries, including India. So it's a larger question. A reaction is not the right approach. A discussion and seeing what's the best solution, that needs to be worked towards.
Okay, Ranjana, would you like to react to that now?
Well, I think very patronizing, very, ignorant that Mr. Kohli, a spokesperson of BJP, is talking about. In South Africa, it is legislated. It is as backward as developing society as India is. It got freedom much later than us. So I think, very easy for people to write off anything by saying it is West. It is Western, so it is too modern, it is too much for India to accept. I think these are arguments, this is not going to hold. If you want to be really a democratic society where every citizen has the equal right by the Constitution of India, then you have to understand that there is not a time in history which comes, if that was the time in history when women will start talking about their own autonomy, independence, bodily integrity, their respect, their dignity, that time will never come because in patriarchy then time can never be defined.
Absolutely, okay.
Because the total power is in the hands of men. These group of male ministers sit together, they discuss things together.
Okay, Ranjana.
So I think we got that. Kohli is trying to patronize by telling us what can be done and not.
Charu, would you like to react to what Nalin Kohli says?
I want to. Yes, definitely. I would like to respond to what Mr. Kohli said. He said that we are not like the West, we are not like America. He is absolutely correct. Because in America, if something like this happens, there are institutional mechanisms which the girl can go to. A 15, 16, 18, 19-year-old girl can go to. But here, a girl has been forced. Her father has literally thrown her out, getting rid of the burden, giving money, and put the responsibility on her husband. So if he violates her physical dignity, he rapes her, she has no place to go. So the law must protect her. All the more reason. Her father is not going to take her back.
Okay, Priya, just one little
short intervention. I want to talk about mindset.
No, we are running out of time.
I just want to say something about mindset.
Charu, we don't have time. Charu, we don't have time. Completely running out of time.
Okay,
Priya, there's one little problem. One problem there that the marriage law, the law says that below 15, below 18 is a child, but there is another law another aspect which says that any girl, married girl above 15, if there is a above 15, so there is this conflict within the law itself.
Yeah, absolutely, it is so, and this has been taken up by us at many forums and said that there must be a uniform age which should be prescribed. This is something which we really need to work on and prescribe a uniform age so that, from within the law, because of the law as it is, advantage of it should not be...
The girls between 15 and 18 years of age who are married, can be subjected to this problem, but doesn't have any protection under the law.
That is why that is something we really need to, that is what the government needs to work on and make a uniformity on the ages there.
Okay. Very quickly, last words, Mr. Pereira, to you. So you think that this law can be brought in and be made to work in an effective manner?
I agree with Nalin in one particular aspect, saying that there is a lot of reaction all over the country. The discussion is necessary. The discussion should be there, and a recognition of the fact that it is a bloody crime.
Okay.
It is a crime, and we should recognize that.
Okay, I think... Nalin, very quickly, we have completely run out of time. Only one sentence, Nalin.
Yes. Just, I do understand there are a lot of views that they have, but I do run it down in terms of patronizing and all. Let's keep the adjectives out. A discussion is welcome. We are all entitled to put our viewpoints.
Okay.
Finally, I would say this, that with regard to the problem of marriage, we need to understand, we need to correct also why women are treated as a burden and moved out of the house forcibly.
Okay.
That's the starting point.
Okay. Thanks, Nalin. This is an issue which will need much more debate and discussion, hopefully. But as Maxwell rightly points out, a crime is a crime, and which has to be recognized and accepted and admitted. But how to deal with it is an issue which needs a lot of discussion. Thanks to all my guests. Please keep watching. We'll come back with another issue in the big picture same time on Monday. Meanwhile, have a great weekend.